Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're sowing the cold frame. We have a beautiful sunny day today. It actually got up over 60 degrees. And we have some ducks out at the pond. Escaped through a hole in the fence. Gladys. And if you're not following along on the homestead channel, you really should be following along with everything going on here at Whitt Acres. But we have the broilers down here in the yard now. Hey, little peepers. And we also just got goats here on the homestead. Hey, goats. Jeannie's got her babies in the little red mini coop, raising up a little chicken family. But we need to keep working here in the gardens and getting things looking good for spring. And right here at the pond's looking pretty good, but we have an eyesore, and that is the cold frame. We got everything looking nice with the black mulch, and we have some spring blooms still blooming, adding some color. But the cold frame here needs all freshened up for the new growing season, and we can get some things sown in here today. Now, I didn't get to it quick enough, so we're not going to be using the plastic lid. We don't need to really add heat. I can just sow some cold-loving crops. And this is also close to the house where we can come out here whenever we're in the kitchen and grab something fresh. So we definitely want to have some green onions, some bunching onions in here. And carrots and radishes definitely love this weather too. So we're going to pull out all these weeds, get some fresh soil put in there, and then we can start seeing what seeds I have to sow. The waterfalls are flowing right now, looking gorgeous and sounding gorgeous. We have the fish swimming around, and I think I might feed them. Oh, there's the bass. I have been throwing a couple handfuls of feed in here for them now that the weather's starting to warm up. And whenever I find a worm, I try and throw it in for the bass too. The last one I threw in, the koi got. Actually, a goldfish sucked it in, and then a koi came and stole it right out of the goldfish's mouth. Can't get everything on camera that happens here. There's a lot going on. A lot of nature around here. Here's the bluegill. You can see how the native fish blend into a pond background a lot better than the koi and the goldfish, which is a good thing for them. Huh, bud? Oh, hold on, I'll get you some food later. Now, the geyser has been acting up over here on the pond, but right now it's been working since I hit it with a golf club. The geyser pump is in the sump pit over there, and it's collecting all the groundwater underneath the pond, and it actually has a French drain underneath the liner of the entire pond. So any of the water that comes over the edge or comes down through the bank, it actually collects it, feeds it to the sump pit, and that has a Y in it that also goes over to the top of the roof, collecting everything off that gutter. It goes through a little filter underground, and it also feeds the same sump pit. And whenever all that water fills up in the sump pit, it trips a float valve that's on the geyser pump and pumps it into the pond. That would have been cool if the geyser came on right there. And the geyser is always taking groundwater. There it is. Just a couple seconds off. But the pond actually has multiple leaks because I have multiple liners going across here, and none of them are glued together. They're just overlapped pretty good, and then we have weights on them. So all this water is constantly leaking into that French drain, filling the sump pit, and I knew I was going to have that sump pit for that reason, so we made a feature out of it, the geyser. Gorgeous. It's a functional feature. But I'll show you the starts we have over by the greenhouse, and then we can get started on the project today. Huh, pop. I also got electric over here. I have this receptacle all wired up so we have power going to the greenhouse without running an extension cord across the ramp. I have that running right now because we don't have that box on there yet to make it waterproof and ready, but we're making progress. Now, the greenhouse is empty right now because it's a beautiful day. We don't need the heater or anything running. Might as well just set the plants right outside. A gorgeous long trumpet on this daffodil here. Beautiful. But we have our cabbage up here doing the best, getting some direct sunlight because I'm going to be planting this into the garden here really soon. Maybe tomorrow if the thunderstorm they're calling for is not too bad. But down below here you can see we have our peppers coming up. All the jalapeno germinated, and we have one sweet banana that hasn't popped up. Hopefully it still does. The cayennes are still germinating here. One's real small there, about to have a birthday, and then we just have one empty cell. The bell peppers did really good, and I actually need a thin one of these. And our cherry tomatoes are doing pretty good, and we're having some birthdays here for the calendula as well. That's really good to see. Those were saved seeds. And all the other tomatoes over here we have getting some sun, but not direct sun, because these ones haven't been outside as much as the cabbage. Since the cabbage can go outside in colder weather, I've put it out for a few days already so it can get some direct sunlight. But this is the first day I put the peppers and tomatoes out, so I don't want them to get all burned up getting this hot direct sun. They can get a few hours of direct sun, especially some morning sun, but this morning was a little bit too cold to put them out, so by the time I got them out here, we were already getting the warm afternoon sun, so I just set them right here in the shade. A few days in the shade will harden them up, and they can get some more direct sun after that. But you can see all these healthy tomatoes popping up here. It's getting really close to an up potting time, and it looks like we had more ground cherries pop up. And the Brussels sprouts don't look great, but they're still growing. But things are looking good here. We actually need to get some more seeds started, and we need to get these cabbage plants planted out into the veggie garden. But we'll see what we can get done. We're gonna start with the cold frame though. Huh, Pop, you just waiting on all this grass to grow. It's day 3, still waiting. It got rained on a couple times, and we're supposed to get some rain tomorrow. And it's supposed to be really warm tomorrow. So hopefully we can get this to germinate before it cools down again. Mambos. Beautiful voice. Alright, we're gonna get started on the cold frame. We're gonna get all the weeds pulled out, fresh soil put in, and then we can get some seeds sown. And I also have this spruce weed killer I want to take down to the vegetable garden and try on the pathways. We have a nice dry day today, and it says visible results in 1 hour, so I want to see if this actually works. And we don't have many dry days forecasted here in April, so I gotta try it now. All cleaned out, bud. Thanks for all the help. I love looking up there and seeing the goats. Gorgeous. Something. I'm gonna go ahead and thicken that up with another bag. We're not gonna be using the lid this year, so we're gonna have extra space we can grow things up. Best to have a good base. That was a bald eagle. That was a bald eagle that just flew over. Echo Pup's chasing. I didn't have the camera on and my phone's on charge. Huh. Bald eagle flew straight over the property here. Puppy. Oh, I missed it. Puppy. That was a big bird and you were just lounging on the beach. Huh. Unfortunately, my phone was on charge and I wasn't able to get that bald eagle on camera. They are actually known to nest nearby here, and we actually had one nesting in a tall tree at the end of the field before they all got cut down. But we have had bald eagles come through here before, and I actually had one land in the field a couple years ago. So I enjoyed seeing it. Unfortunately, you guys weren't able to. I tried to get a glimpse of it with the GoPro, but it took a little while for it to turn on. But we made some progress here. We got the cold frame all cleaned out and fresh soil in there, ready to plant some seeds. And I also went down to the vegetable garden and sprayed that whole jug of spruce on the pathways there. So we'll wait until the sun goes down a little bit longer. It said visible results in an hour. So we'll check it in a little bit after dinner and we'll see if we have any visible results. But let's get these seeds planted so I can get some dinner. So we're going to be planting some radishes here. I have some sparkler radishes. They'll get done really quick in about 25 days to harvest. We'll get those ones sown in. We also have some carrots. So in the back there where we have a little bit deeper of soil, we're going to sow some St. Valerie's carrots. Put those in the back. And then I also grabbed some greens that I had seeds still left over from. We have some blue curled Scotch kale. We're going to put that in the front here. Right next to that, we're going to put some Tokyo Bacana mustard. And then we have some Swiss chard here, rhubarb colored. And then some broadleaf Batavian endive. So I just grabbed some greens that I already had seeds for. These can go on the sides of some dinners or even in some salads or something. The radishes and onions are good for some breakfast, and the carrots are always good. I am going to be sowing some rounds of these carrots and the radishes since they'll be done early, and the bunching onions go pretty quick as well. So we'll be doing a couple rounds of these. Maybe in another week I'll sow those again. And maybe at that time I'll have some lettuce greens, and I can sow some lettuce greens right in front of all these other greens because these are a little bit bigger than what lettuce will come up as. So everything here is going to get sown the same way, just lightly underneath the soil, except for the carrots. We're not going to bury those at all. Carrot seeds don't want to be buried. They're really tiny. So we're actually just going to put those right across the top of the soil level and set a board over top of them. And we're going to be checking underneath that board over the next few days. Now, carrot seeds don't need light to germinate, but they do need consistent moisture. So we're going to keep that board on until we start seeing some germination. Then we can pop it off. Especially since I'm not putting the lid on this box, we don't want them drying out too soon. Everything else gets planted right underneath the soil and we can water it in. Let's get started. Nice. All right, that sun is going down and that geyser's still working. That is always good to see. Pop. But we got the seeds in. We have the carrots in the back. Then we did the onions just halfway across. Because like I said, I'm going to sow some more next week and we'll do another half. And then same with the radishes right below that. Halfway across, and we'll do another half next week. And then I did a tightly spaced row of all those greens. I'm not trying to grow one big plant. I want cut and come again greens. So everything's going to be tightly spaced together. They're going to grow smaller. And then I'm going to cut them right at about 6 inches once they start growing up. And then they'll start growing back again. Up. And then maybe I can get some lettuce seeds to grow later on. I put the board on top of where I sowed the carrot seeds. I just sprinkled them on top. And as you can see, I did use some vermiculite. I sprinkled that across there so it filled in all the gaps of the thicker soil. With any seed you're sowing, you always want good contact between the seed and the soil. You don't want air gaps. And with the vermiculite pretty much being a fine powder, it filled in all those spaces and makes better contact for the carrot seeds, which are really tiny. And the board has a bit of a bow to it, so I tried to push the soil up so it didn't have a big air gap. So we'll see how things go. Put my little solar light back in the corner here so no one trips over it at night. And I'm thinking it's about time for dinner. Then we can close up the barn. Pop. We'll check down in the vegetable garden, see if there's any action on the weeds first. Pop. We're eating dinner tonight. We have another mushroom Swiss burger, a few chicken wings, sauerkraut, and pickles. And we're running late tonight. All the solar lights are coming on already. I got the tomatoes and the peppers already put into the greenhouse here and the heater running. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cabbage away too. There we go. Everything will do better in here with a little bit of warmth. Might get rain tonight too. Pop. Let's go see if there's any visible results. Now it's been about an hour. I'm not seeing anything significant. But with it being cool and at the end of the day, I'm not too surprised. Well, we'll just have to see how it progresses, see if it's any better tomorrow. Pop. It's time to close the barn up. So that's going to be all for this one. If you want to keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Good boy.